What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Stellar Blade controversy. Now, for those of you who don't know, there is a controversy surrounding Stellar Blade and censorship. So what it very much revolves around in the two camps are, hey, this is bad, and there's the other camp where it's like, it's not that big of a deal. Now, me personally, I happen to be in the camp of this is bad, and I'm going to tell you why. So when it comes to Stellar Blade, I think we all are aware that this game was sold as more of a sex appeal, right? That was the selling point of the game. Combat was good and everything, but the main focus was, hey, look at our sexy protagonist. And if you know anything about the developers of the game, well, that's well in line with some of the other games that they've produced. Throughout the demo and throughout gameplay, you had certain costumes. Now, these costumes have been altered after the patch, and they're very minimal in their alterations, but nonetheless they have been altered. So there are some costumes that have added fabric, right? Not a lot of fabric, okay? She's not in a full burqa or something, but they've added subtle changes to the costume where they've added fabric. They've added some costumes, they've added a sheen across her chest. Other costumes, they lowered the point of, I guess, the bikini line. They've taken that down a bit. In addition to that, there's been gore. Well, pre-patch, you would have blood on her costume upon, defeating an enemy. That blood has been removed. Now, all of those little small changes, I get how the people who are like, it's not that big of a deal, let it go. But I also understand where it's like, I understand that those aren't massive changes, but at the end of the day, it is a change. It is something that was not promoted to many of the players upon purchase. It wasn't something that was in the demo. There was no hint that they were going to be altering the costumes later on. There was none of that. So what actually PlayStation has done has refunded people who've asked for refunded off the basis of false advertisement. And I think that is a smart move via PlayStation. Now, obviously, you can speculate why this was done. I know the developers have come out and said, well, this was our actual vision for the costumes, but that's kind of on shaky terms, especially given their track record of the games that they've done and how those characters look. Ultimately, we don't know where this order came from. We don't know. But at the end of the day, those were changes that were made to the game that was not being marketed as such. There was no advertisement, hey, these are the costumes that they're going to change upon a patch. None of that was marketed. So there is a point of false advertisement. Now, the bigger issue would be the issue of censorship and how that plays a role in Stellar Blade. Now, of course, you can say, well, it's not a big deal. It's not really a big thing when it comes to censorship in this game. I agree. The changes that they made aren't really massive changes, but you have to take into account, is it censorship? It is a form of censorship being, introduced into the gaming arena, into the gaming industry, and it is. At the end of the day, no matter how small it is, that is a factor in censorship. Now, the reason I have an issue with it, is because the game is rated M for mature. So I don't know why you would attempt to make the game less mature when you've already gotten a mature rating. It doesn't make any sense, especially when it comes to the gore. What's the reason for removing the gore? What's on the costume? I thought that's a great element. I think that's great. I think modern games have that, especially when you have God of War. Can you imagine God of War removing the blood from Kratos upon him slaying enemies and stuff like that? It doesn't make any sense. These changes don't make any sense. So it compounds the frustration that many people have with the censorship. When it comes to the costume changes, it doesn't make any sense. It's an immature, game. That's the design that they came out with. Now all of a sudden they're patching it. So it seems to be very much of a bait and switch. And I think there needs to be a stand taken, because this can get to the point right, where we're having a game, they say, hey, there's no microtransactions. And then upon you downloading the game, which many people unfortunately are getting digital copies because they're very much trying to steer away from physical copies. I have a physical copy. I no longer get digital, but that's what they're attempting to do. So now you're stuck with something that is a false promise. Because they said there's going to be no microtransactions. Now there's an update. Now there's microtransactions. And you have to understand, for me, what it does is that it constantly it gives too much power to the corporations. I'm very much for the gamer, okay? I'm very much for the gamer. But anything that these companies do to the detriment of the player is not benefiting us. And I think these changes, albeit small and really insignificant, it's not benefiting us, because these are changes that were not promised us, that were not hinted at us. It was under a false pretense that they marketed this game out. So no matter how small it is, I think many of the people who have an issue with this, I think they have, they have a claim for it. I think they have a claim for their indignation towards how this has been presented, how this has been handled. So that's my take on it. You guys let me know what you guys think about the whole controversy of Stellar Blade and everything. I'll definitely be going over an animation analysis of the game later on once I finish it, as well as a review. But that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. And until next time, keep animating.